Educational institutes require very unique CRM capabilities, with K-12 requiring even more specialized features. So, which are the top 10 K-12 education CRMs in 2024? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. So, let's dive in.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent CRM, ERP, and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with the digital transformation strategy, CRM selection, implementation, and change management. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be top 10 K-12 education CRMs in 2024. Before we look at the list, let's define how we define K-12 education category as well as the CRMs. So in general, in this particular case, we consider all sizes of school, whether they are going to be small, big, all of these school districts. In general, for the CRM category, we consider all the customer touch points. These are not going to be your financial operational touch points, just the customer centric touch points. They could be from the recruitment perspective or during the admission process. Any of the customer interactions that you are going to have, those are going to be relevant from this category perspective. Then some of the capabilities that are going to be extremely unique for the educational institutes, especially for K-12, are going to be things such as your alumni relationship management, student prospect engagement management, teacher relationship management, and their workflows. And if you look at any of the generalized vanilla CRMs, you would require substantial customization on top of that to be able to enable these workflows. And that's what makes this particular space very different. Overall, the factors that we generally consider to compile these lists is product share, acquisition strategy focused on K-12 institutes. If these companies are acquiring a lot of capabilities related to K-12, they generally hire on this list. Then the product roadmap, community, ecosystem, win rate, technology strategy, as well as the investors. So these are some of the factors that we consider to compile this list. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is School Mint. And School Mint is slightly more prescriptive category that is relevant only for K-12. And in general, when we look at any of the prescriptive category across our different list, we talk about that, okay, for the prescriptive category, the business model is going to be very fixed, meaning if you are going to be a pure play school, then this shouldn't be a problem. In general, in the school space or K-12 space, you are not going to have diversified business models. So it's probably not going to be a problem. You can probably survive only on these platforms. But let's say if you have diversified business model, you have a school, you have a hospital as part of the same business model, then there could be challenges in accommodating both of those in one system. So this is going to be one of the challenges in general in the prescriptive category. One of the pattern that you are going to notice is that they are going to have slightly superior support. In general, if they are going to be owned by mom and pop, their support is going to be better. If they are owned by private equity, the support might be slightly inferior in general. These systems are also designed for ease of use, which also means that the design is going to be such that you are probably going to have data integrity issues with a lot of these prescriptive systems, because they are trying to flatten the data model. They are trying to loosen the data model. And because of that, you have all of these issues. So some of the other strengths that we have from the School Mint perspective is this is going to be free for parents to use. And in general, with the systems designed for K-12, parents are going to have access to the student progress, and you are going to have very similar portals as you are going to see with CRMs or ERP systems, that they have portals for customers and vendors. Portal functionality is going to be very similar. Here, you are exposing these workflows for your parents to be able to monitor the progress, to be able to interact with the school if the school is going to require any sort of information from parents. So these workflows are designed for that. In general, with School Mint, you are going to have this functionality. Now, the other strength that we have is very unique process such as your lottery or uniform violations. These are very unique capabilities that only K-12 institutes are going to require. And so even though this functionality may look easier, but in general, it's not very easy to implement. It's going to be very involved in general, the kind of interactions that you are going to have. So these features are going to be pre-baked. With the generalized systems, you are going to require a lot more consulting support, development help to be able to implement these feature sets. The support is going to be great with School Mint. So these are some of the strengths. Now, some limitations. In general, School Mint is probably going to be weak with the upstream marketing activities. If you are looking at this more from the recruitment perspective, where you have to drive the traffic, you need to recruit the students for your school, then this particular system might not be the best fit. Other limitations that we have is the community capabilities. So with some of the other systems, you are going to find far richer community capabilities. This system may not have as rich, as detailed capabilities for the community-centric functionality. And then some of the users also reported the glitches with the phone app. The mobility functionality might not be as great. The interface is likely to be legacy and clunky as well. So these are some of the limitations, and that's number 10. Now, number 9 on our list is Element 451. And Element 451 is a slightly newer system. Element 451 system is designed more from the marketing automation perspective. So the limitations that you are going to see with the School Mint, those limitations are probably not going to be there with 451, but Element 451 is not going to have as rich operational and the transactional processes that you are going to see with School Mint. So some of the other strengths that we have from Element 451 is their upstream marketing activities are probably going to be far richer, far more detailed. It's probably going to be easy to use because this is slightly newer system. The technology is newer, and then support is going to be great as well because Element 451 is also a prescriptive category, and that's why the support is likely to be better in general. Some of the other limitations that we have from the Element 451 perspective is that they are not as well adopted, not as well proven. They are slightly newer in the market. The transactional use cases are probably going to be weaker as well. They are going to be great from the upstream marketing perspective, from the driving the newer student and managing that workflow. But when you are going to look at slightly more downstream activities, that's where they are not going to be as strong. And this is probably not going to be as comprehensive as some of the other options that we have on this list. So that's number 9. Number 8 on our list is Oracle CX Cloud. And in general, compared to School Mint as well as Element 451, Oracle CX Cloud is going to be slightly more enterprise system. And this is going to be relevant for any of the K-12 that are going to be either really large or they are going to be part of the school district. If the school districts are trying to consolidate all of these workloads in one system, then only this system is going to be relevant. Otherwise, this system is probably going to be really big for the large majority of the schools. So if you have a very large school, as well as you need the enterprise-grade transactional workload processing capabilities, then Oracle CX Cloud may be a great fit. Some of the other strengths that we have from the Oracle CX Cloud perspective is that it has one of the enterprise grade marketing automation product that is provided out of the box with the suite itself. So that's a huge plus with the Oracle CX Cloud. And then you are going to have some of the capabilities such as your grant and fund reporting. And the large majority of the schools, if it is going to be a private school, then they might not require the grant and fund reporting. But let's say if they are supported by some of the funds and grants, and depending upon how many grants are they seeking, they might require the grant and fund reporting as well. So that's going to be included as part of your Oracle CX Cloud. And then they are also going to have the student cloud, which is slightly more student information management functionality. In general, the large majority of K-12s are probably going to require overlap with your student information management. So Oracle CX Cloud has that as part of the suite itself. So that's a huge plus for them. Some of the limitations that you're looking at from the Oracle CX Cloud perspective is the upstream marketing integrations as well as ecosystem are not going to be as rich as you are going to find with some of the other systems that we have on this list, such as your HubSpot. And then it's also going to be extremely expensive to implement because this is a very large system. It has a lot more enterprise layers in general. And then you are implementing all of those K-12 related functionality. For example, let's say if you look at alumni relations, or you look at the parent workflows or teacher workflows, all of these need to be implemented by a consulting firm. And that's why you are going to have a much larger consulting budget in general. And then it's also going to have the steep learning curve that is going to be with any of the larger systems, the enterprise grade systems. They are going to have a lot more capabilities, but they are going to be equally harder to learn as well. So that's number 8. Now, number 7 on our list is Blackboard CRM. And Blackboard CRM would fall under that prescriptive category as well. And this is going to be relevant for slightly more smaller to mid-size K-12s. And in the case of Blackboard, comparing it with your school Mint, as well as Element 451, Blackboard CRM is going to have a lot more suite functionality where you can get a lot more components directly from Blackboard. And they are going to be integrated as part of the suite itself. For example, let's say if you care for accounting function, Blackboard is probably going to have that, even though it's not going to have the complete ERP, but it's going to have a lot more components that you are probably going to require that you can get just from one vendor rather than going from for multiple vendors. Some of the other strengths that we have from the Blackboard CRM perspective is that it is probably going to be cheaper and faster implementation in general. And the reason for that is because this is, again, part of that prescriptive category where you are going to have a lot more functionality that is going to be relevant for K-12 pre-built as part of the suite. So you are not necessarily building, configuring, testing yourself. And that's why it is going to be cheaper and faster to implement. And then any of the not-for-profit centric capabilities are going to be pre-baked as well. So you are not investing as much from the consulting perspective. And then Blackboard also supports integration with Microsoft Power Platform. And in general, the K-12s are going to have a lot of ad hoc use cases to be able to gather information. And those workflows change all the time. And that's why you cannot have slightly more fixed processes for those. And that's where your Microsoft Power Platform is probably going to be handy. And processes such as your lottery or uniform violation, they can be easily implemented using these workflows. If you are going to have fixed workflows, and let's say if you have a change in the rules, and most of the K-12s are going to have their own rules in terms of how they are going to implement the uniform violation or the lottery-centric process, and that's where your Microsoft Power Platform is going to be handy in implementing those ad hoc workflows. Some of the limitations that we have from the Blackboard CRM perspective is the overall scalability as well as the customizability. And the scalability is going to be more from the business model perspective. And again, if it is going to be a pure play K-12, then you are probably not going to have as much problem. But let's say if you have multiple business models, depending upon the ownership and depending upon the ownership structure, you might have many different business models that the ownership might be trying to accommodate. And if you have to do that, then Blackboard CRM might not be the best fit to accommodate all of those business models. And in general, the customizability is going to be an issue as well. The large majority of the Prescriptive systems are designed for very tailored workflows for very specific industry. So you are going to get a much faster implementation, but at the same time, you are probably going to compromise on the customizability on that. And then the technology is not as cloud native. So you might experience issues with, for example, let's say if you care for the cloud native features, for example, enterprise search, etc., those are not going to be as rich, as detailed with your Blackboard CRM. And then they also have a little inconsistency between their on-prem and cloud version. The cloud version is not as mature as their on-prem version. The on-prem version had a lot more functionality. So during the demo, you are probably going to see the cloud version. And then finally, if you care for those detailed features, then they are going to move you to the on-prem version. And then it's going to be a very patchy experience in a general between those two versions. So that is something to keep in mind. And that's number 7. Number 6 on our list is lead squared. And lead squared would be the prescriptive system as well. And lead squared has been implemented with much larger educational institutes. So if your K-12 is going to be slightly more on a larger side, then lead squared could be a great fit. So some of the other strengths that we have from the lead squared perspective is it's going to be slightly more customizable. It's not going to be as customizable as some of the generalized platforms because they are designed for that customizability. But in this particular case, since this is the enterprise grade system, you are going to have a lot more customizability in general. But don't assume that you can customize anything and everything. There are going to be limitations. So you need to pay attention to what kind of limitations you are going to have. And in general, you might want to hire a consulting firm that can help you in doing the gap analysis where you are going to run into all of those roadblocks with the customizability. Some of the other strengths that we have from the lead squared perspective is it is well adopted among large K-12. So that's a huge plus that it's proven. It has been proven in those institutes. So that's going to be a huge plus. The other strength that we have is the student account management, and that's going to be the whole overlap with your student information management system. So again, that's going to be a huge plus. Then you have some of the other limitations. They are going to be things such as your limited security layers and the workflow and the security that you are going to have. They are not going to be as detailed to be able to enable workflows for specific users. If you want to hide the information with certain users, those capabilities might be limited. They might not be as detailed as you are going to find with the likes of Salesforce or slightly more enterprise grade systems. The portal stability, and these portals are going to be relevant for your teacher-centric workflows or alumni-centric workflows because you are trying to expose the subset of the information. So the portals are not as stable, and it's not as well adopted as the mainstream CRMs. So in the CRM market, they don't have as much market share as the other systems. So that's going to be a little negative. Therefore, lead squared, and that's number 6. Now, number 5 on our list is HubSpot CRM. And HubSpot CRM is going to be relevant for K-12s that are going to be very heavy from the CMS perspective or from the upstream marketing perspective. If those are the use cases that you really care for, then HubSpot CRM could be a great fit. Some of the other strengths that we have from the HubSpot CRM perspective is that CMS is built, with the platform for omni-channel traceability as well as connectivity. So that's going to be a huge plus for HubSpot ecosystem and integration. You are going to find a lot more options from the integration perspective. These integrations might not be as relevant for K-12, but you are going to find a lot more options in general. The technology that we have from the HubSpot perspective is fairly cloud native. So you are not going to have issues with things such as your enterprise search, mobility, etc. Compared to some of the other systems. The technology is far superior in general with HubSpot CRM. Some of the limitations that we have from the HubSpot CRM perspective is the overarching custom objects, and you are going to require a lot of custom objects. You are going to require very complex hierarchy for the K-12 use cases. So those custom objects are going to have limited capabilities in general compared to your core objects. Even the core objects are not going to be as customizable as with the other systems that we have on this list. And some of the limitations that you are going to run into, especially with the custom objects, are going to be some of the workflow triggers that you would require to implement such complex use cases are probably not going to be available with the custom objects as well. So those are some of the limitations to keep in mind with HubSpot, and that's number 5. Number 4 on our list is Creatio, and Creatio belongs to a very unique category among CRM systems. So this is going to be slightly more technical system. This would fall under that low code, no code category, which means that this is going to be a lot more customizable in general, but then you might not have the tailored workflows that you are going to require for K-12s. So because of that, you are going to have a lot more consulting budget that you need to invest with systems like this. Some of the other strengths that we have from the Creatio perspective is the customizability. So if you have very complex business model other than your K-12, then you will be able to accommodate all of those business models as long as you are willing to invest in the consulting customizability. You might need to hire specialized consultants for Creatio. So they are obviously going to be very expensive in general with Creatio. The other strength that we have from Creatio perspective is the integration as well as the ecosystem. You are going to have a lot more options in general with Creatio, but those options may not be as relevant for K-12, just like your HubSpot. And then you also have the deployment flexibility. So with some of the other systems that we have on this list, you are probably going to be locked with your public cloud option, meaning that cloud cost is going to be part of your subscription. So from your perspective, the licensing is going to be easier. But as you are going to grow your licensing footprint, then you are going to pay a lot more for the public cloud, and that's where this might be cheaper. Let's say if you are able to deploy on your own infrastructure, then you might be able to save some money there. So that's a huge plus for Creatio if you care for that. Now, some of the other limitations that we have from Creatio perspective is enabling alumni relations, student prospects, management, teacher management workflows. All of those would require very expensive consulting help. The UI is probably going to be clunky, and the marketing automation workflows are probably not going to be as intuitive with Creatio. So that's number 4. Number 3 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 apps. A little background there for Microsoft Dynamics 365 apps. This used to be called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement, and as part of that product, Microsoft had many different products that were bundled as part of the whole CRM bucket that they used to sell. So those are going to be your sales, marketing, customer service, field service, etc. All of those were bundled as part of that customer engagement bucket. But now what Microsoft has done is they are trying to sell these as individual apps. So they have a lot more apps, but there is a little restructuring that they have done among these apps. So that is going to impact the licensing, the product experience, etc. So today, if you look at Microsoft, then you are going to have probably the sales, customer insights. You have an app for call center. But as such, when you are going to look for example, let's say if you look at things such as your upstream marketing automation, etc., Microsoft no longer has those capabilities. Those capabilities are going to be trickier to implement in general. So it's a very different structure, very different architecture. And even though their CRM is slightly more decoupled, it's not implemented as part of your ERP the way some of the ERP systems are going to be. But the experience is going to be very intertwined in general. So that's going to be a limitation. So the other strength that we have from the Microsoft Dynamics perspective is that you can implement very customizable workflows for use cases such as your teachers, alumni, prospect relationship management. All of those workflows can be implemented easily. You are going to have a lot more flexibility in customizing the workflows in general. But because of that, you are also going to have very expensive consulting help, the developer help that you are probably going to require. Then you have some of the pre-built options. For example, you have options such as your Mission CRM, which is designed for not-for-profit. You are not going to have as much functionality from the education perspective. But let's say if you care for the not-for-profit functionality, then you are going to have these options available. But with K-12, you might run into issues because Mission CRM is sort of trying to hijack the processes from the not-for-profit perspective. And then if you have to enable the these education workflows. Alongside that, the mission CRM is sort of going to lock the scope. And if you have to customize, then you have to customize on top of mission CRM, and there could be challenges in that. So that is something you might want to keep in mind. Overall, you are going to have a lot more integrations ecosystem, but then the architecture, the design, the configuration becomes very tricky in general with Microsoft. Some of the other limitations that we have is Microsoft, the marketing automation CMS capabilities are not going to be as robust as you are going to find with some of the other systems. For example, HubSpot, the consulting help is going to be really expensive. And then you are also going to have very steep learning curve in general with Microsoft Dynamics 365 apps. So that's number 3. Number 2 on our list is Salesforce Education. And Salesforce is a very enterprise great platform as well. And they are going to have a lot more capabilities out of the box provided by Salesforce. And these are going to be your education service pack, not-for-profit service pack. All of those service packs can be acquired directly from Salesforce, but there might be challenges in using them together as part of the same scope. And if you have to customize, you are probably going to have similar challenges as your Microsoft. The only difference is with Microsoft, you are dealing with another vendor. With Salesforce, you are dealing with Salesforce for these service packs. In general, Salesforce is going to be highly customizable as well, similar to your Microsoft. And then the community-centric capabilities in general are far richer because of their Slack acquisition, as well as they have far richer community-centric functionality to enable your alumni-centric workflows. And then you have the student-centric workflows as well. For that, you might require community-centric functionality. So they have that enterprise-grade features for these capabilities. The other limitations that you're going to run into with Salesforce is the whole marketing automation product is not as immersed with your the sales product, and that's going to be a huge challenge, especially if you are going to use this particular CRM for the student recruitment as well. And in general, with Salesforce, you might end up using another product for marketing automation, but then you are not going to find as immersive experience as you might find with systems such as your Element 451 or HubSpot. So that's going to be a little negative for Salesforce. And then the consulting cost is probably going to be very expensive in general. And the website integration might require another CMS add-on with Salesforce because they don't have those capabilities out of the box with their CRM. So that's number 2. Now, number 1 on our list is Zoho CRM. And Zoho CRM is going to be a great fit for small to mid-size K-12 institutes. And in general, the way Zoho CRM is designed, their data model is friendly in general. And because of that, the consulting costs are going to be lower. So some of the other strengths that we have from the Zoho CRM perspective is that the limitations that you are going to run into, for example, with HubSpot, where you don't have as much customizability of the custom object, the kind of triggers you don't have with HubSpot, you are going to have a lot more capabilities here with Zoho CRM. You also have options to be able to create custom apps, and those custom apps, custom workflows are going to be very similar to your Microsoft Power Platform, and you can enable those using your Zoho CRM. With their app, you are going to find a lot more capabilities wrapped as part of the same package. So for example, let's say if you have the project management needs, and in some cases, you are probably going to require those to be able to implement these workflows. And if you need to do that, then those are going to be part of the same bundle. So that's a huge plus. The Zoho Creator app is going to be a huge plus as well when you are going to build all of these automations. In general, Zoho Creator is far more powerful. Their layout as well as the screens are going to be far more customizable. So again, those are huge pluses for Zoho CRM. Some of the limitations that you are going to run into with Zoho CRM is each of these apps have their own independent databases. And because of that, even though they are going to be bundled as part of the same package, the communication between those apps is not going to be as immersive, as embedded as you are going to find with the systems. For example, let's say if you compare this with Salesforce or Microsoft, then those are going to be implementing this as part of the same data model. So the communication in general is going to be far richer compared to your Zoho CRM. Here you can move a couple of data fields, but again, the experience is not going to be as rich as with some of the other larger systems. Then you also have some other limitations with Zoho CRM. For example, the CMS is not going to be as robust as you are going to find with other systems, for example, HubSpot. And then communication between different data centers in general for schools and K-12s, that's probably not going to be a problem, because the K-12s are going to be fairly regionalized. So, for example, if you have K-12 in school in your US or Canada, then you are probably going to be limiting yourself to the data center in those countries. It's going to be very rare that a school district or school is going to be very global in nature, and they are looking to consolidate all of those workloads. So that's why Zoho CRM is a great fit, and that's number one. If you enjoyed this video, we publish these videos on a weekly basis. So if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you might want to do that. This podcast is also available in the audio form on major podcasting platform such as your Apple, Spotify. So you might want to check there and subscribe. We are also going to link an article that is going to have much deeper insights. So if you want to check that. And then finally, if you have not checked our digital transformation report, we cover a lot more insights that is going to have much deeper insights in general in terms of how to pursue your digital transformation journey. So we are going to link that as well. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.